So you want to start sewing, but you don't know what exactly you need to be buying and looking for a basic sewing kit. This video is all about what basics I have in my sewing kit and what each of their uses are and why they are useful. My sewing kit is literally the biggest mess you've probably ever seen, and I keep basically my entire life's contents in here, so you don't need everything that I have in here, but I will be talking about the specific kind of basics that you do need. So if you are a beginner and you want to learn, feel free to subscribe to my channel and carry on watching. So the first thing and the most important thing is a very good pair of fabric scissors. They don't have to be too expensive, but you want specific fabric scissors and not like your kitchen scissors or anything like that. So some people, I just have the one pair just because I mainly work with woven materials. Some people do have different pairs depending on what kind of material they're working with, whether they're woven or knitted or whatever. As I said, I mainly work with woven, so I just have the one pair. Basically, the blades at this point are so used to cutting material that that's what they're conditioned to do. Over time, you will find they do become dull. So what you want to do is find a reliable scissor sharpener and just take them there. That's going to be cheaper and more environmentally friendly than buying new scissors all the time. But you do need to make sure that you're sharpening them to keep them nice and clean. And these are my embroidery scissors. So these ones I used for when you're hand stitching or when you need to cut any loose threads off or anything like that. I call them snips instead of embroidery scissors. Some people these, which are also referred to as being snips, just slightly different. I personally don't like using these. I do prefer using the scissors just because I find they're easy to use. But you might see some snips looking like that instead. I do find it's down to personal preference. As you can see, I have both. So it could be useful buying both and seeing which one you prefer, but I just personally prefer these ones. Then probably the most used item in my sewing box is my unpickers. I have plenty of these. Again, these can go dull. Not many people realize this, but these can go dull, so you need to make sure that you're keeping them sharp. Um, Everybody makes mistakes, no matter how advanced or kind of beginner you are. You are going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to be really advanced and make really, really, really silly mistakes, and then feel really stupid and dumb. So always keep a pair of sharp unpickers. I have loads of these. Very good at losing them. The next thing is Tailor's chalk. This is blue Tailor's chalk. To be honest, I don't use blue. You can get it in white, yellow, blue, and red, I believe. White is a must. I've just bought a new load there somewhere. I can't remember what I've done with them. White is the one that you want to use as much as possible. Obviously, sometimes you're working on white material, so for that, I would recommend using yellow instead of using blue or red because it's going to be harder to get out of your material. So I do have quite a lot of blue and reds that I got given when I was at uni and just haven't ever used because unless you're working on like a toile or like a mock-up, then there's no point in using them. I wouldn't recommend it. But you want this to be able to mark out your patterns onto your fabric, mark out your seam allowance, all that good stuff. And kind of colour pencils. So these are the best pencils to use when you're pattern drafting. Mine, I believe, is empty, so I do need some new ones. But these are the best to use because you're not having to mess about sharpening anything afterwards. You just click, click, straight back on it. Probably isn't that unusual actually. I do keep loads of tweezers, so I've got this normal kind of pair of tweezers, and then I do have a longer pair of overlocker tweezers. So these are great for these long ones I use for threading my overlocker. If you're a beginner, you probably don't need a bit overlocker, but overlockers are extremely fiddly things to thread up. They can smell fear, so good pair of tweezers is great for that. And then I use the smaller scissors tweezers for when I'm finishing a project and I need to take all my tacking threads out. These are great for it. I have tons of these loose in my box. So these are safety pins. My dad actually got given loads when I was in college from work because they overbought them, and so I've just got tons, and I've just never run out of them since in the past 10 years. These are great for fittings. I only use them for fittings. I don't use them if I'm pinning my material. I wouldn't recommend it, but they are great for when you're doing fittings and you're pinning in delicate areas and you don't want to risk someone, putting their arm down and pricking themselves or anything like that. So these are great for that. A very gross piece of beeswax. So this is used when you're hand sewing quite a lot and to stop the thread kind of knotting up, you can run it through some beeswax and then sandwich it between some material and run your iron over it, and it'll help the fabric not become knotty. I got given quite a big chunk when I was at uni, so again, I'm still using this, which is why it's all gross and fluffy. You can get ones that are in cases instead, so they're kind of, they don't pick up as much shit. But I just got given a cheap big block when I was at uni that I'm still using. Masking tape. Masking tape is great for when you've underestimated how much paper you need when you're drafting a pattern and you need to stick it two pieces of pattern paper together. Always handy. Machine needles. Some sewing machines will have kind of their own compartment that you can keep them in. These ones are for my overlocker that don't have a compartment. So any spare ones I do like to keep in my sewing. A rubber, which is pretty self-explanatory for when you're drafting patterns and you need to rub something out. And I do personally like to keep Sharpies and pens, fine liners in my sewing box for, again, when I'm pattern drafting, or even if I'm draping on the stand and I want to mark something out, so that I can see which lines and differentiate between the different lines. So these are great. And then I also do keep stickers in my sewing box, the label ones. So these are great for when you want to keep a pattern if you've got a block. I like to keep mine in a folder in plastic wallets, so these are great for labeling up which ones are which. I just kind of write what they are and then stick them on the plastic wallet. I have the plastic wallets, not the open ones, but the ones, the thicker plastic with the poppers that kind of pop open and closed, just to help keep them safe. I live in a really small place, so I don't have the space to be kind of hanging them up, otherwise I would do. So instead I keep these and do it that way. A box of pins. So if you get a nice big box of quality pins, you can usually find, if you go into a haberdashery, usually they'll only have the round circles or like a small little box. But if you go on Amazon, I bought mine from uni, but if you go on Amazon, you can find big boxes of pins. So when I was at uni, I bought from the uni shop a big box of pins, and I'm still on that one big box of pins. This has lasted me since I was 18 to almost 10 years now. Hand sewing needles. So I do need some new ones. I am running out, and again, you want to make sure that they're kept nice and sharp. If they do start to get blunt, throw them away straight away. If they do tend to bend a little bit and they're supposed to be straight, you again throw them away, get some new ones. You can get purposefully kind of bent ones for certain sewing, but if they're bending and they're not supposed to bend, throw them away, get some good, nice quality sewing needles. And then last but not least, I always forget this is in here because I simply don't use it, is a good fitting thimble. I have really small fingers, so this one is the smallest one I've been able to find, and it still doesn't quite fit. It also has a cap on it. You can get ones that don't, and I do prefer those ones personally just because I do have quite long nails. And these are going to protect your fingers quite a lot. I don't hand sew the way you're supposed to hand sew, and so I'm trying to relearn how to hand sew, but these are going to help protect your skin a lot. If you enjoyed this video, as I said, please subscribe and like and comment and everything underneath. I am hoping to post more of my makes and everything like that on here, so please follow along for that, and I will see you in the next